Welcome to Community Club. I'm Rachel, for those of you who haven't met me, and today we're going to talk about values. Before we start, if you haven't already, go grab 5 note cards and some scrap paper from the back of the room. We'll need them in the activity that we're doing. Okay, using one of the pieces of scrap paper, I want you to make 3 columns. And for the first column, I want you to write down the top 10 to 15 things you normally spend your time on during a week at school. I'm going to give you 60 seconds to do this. Go. Okay, and for the second column, we're going to do the exact same thing, but you're going to write down the top 10 to 15 things you spend your money on. Again, I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Go. Okay, so to begin, we need to know what are values. Understanding yourself is one of the most important foundations to set yourself up and become a leader. Core values and strengths are 2 of the most important parts of what makes you who you are. Before we go any further, we need to know what defines a value. Can anyone give me a definition of a value? Good. Values are the drivers to our goals and deepest desires. They tell us what's most important to us. Can anyone give me an example of a value or a couple? Good. Okay. Now I want you guys to form into groups just who's ever around you, and I'm going to ask you guys some questions and then you can discuss them. Okay. Why do businesses have values? Who influences them? How does where you grew up influence your values? How have you seen that here? Do your values actually impact the way you behave? Okay, so just get in groups and I want you to write down your answers to the questions on the poster board and then we'll review. Okay, does anyone want to share their ideas? Awesome. Good. Okay, so there's so many reasons why values are so important to us today and why they matter. Identifying your values helps you identify what is important to you. It helps you dig deep into how values impact your daily life. Say you look at a list of values and you say, well, I have all those and I value all those things. That's totally normal. But it is so important to narrow down that list to identify what you value, what's most important to you individually. So we're going to do that now. So the 5 note cards that you grabbed at the back of the room, I want you to bring those out. And on each note card, I want you to write down a value. And under each value, I want you to write down a sentence describing what that value means to you and why it's so important to you. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to do this. Does everyone have their values written down? Good. Now I want you to lay your note cards in front of you so you can see all your values at once. These are your anchors. These are the lens that you use to view the world and the pillars that direct your life. Now I want you to throw 2 values away. Why did you choose to keep those precious 3? What made you throw those 2 values away? How did it make you feel to throw those 2 values away? Now I want you to throw away another value. Why did you decide to keep those precious 2 values? How did it make you feel to throw away another value? Why did you choose to throw that specific value away? Now look at the 2 remaining values you have left. These will set the foundation of your life. Now I want you to throw away one more value. Now you are left with only one value. Why was this value most important to you? Why did you decide to keep this value over all the others? Okay, so I know that was a lot at once, so we're going to take a couple minutes to reflect and meditate over the activity we just did. I want you to write down any emotions or thoughts or ideas or feelings on how that made you feel. Does anyone want to share their thoughts? Okay, good. So now I'm going to give you guys some questions. I don't want you to write them down or answer them. I just want you to think about them. How often do you throw away your values on a regular Saturday night out? Or when you're in a rush? Or when you want an immediate outcome? Do your values affect the way that you behave in your daily life? Do you think it would be hard now to throw away your values in daily life because of how hard it was to throw them away in the trash can during this activity? Okay, now I'm going to ask you another set of questions. And this time I want you to form a group and you guys can discuss them after. The first question is, why did you keep that value and why? What influenced you to keep that value? Have you ever intentionally thrown away a value? Was it as painful throwing away your values into the trash can as when you throw them away in your real life? Okay, I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to answer those questions together, and if you need any repeated, just let me know. Okay? Does anyone want to share their answers to those questions? Awesome. So now we're going to talk about 3 main points to why values are so important. Our first point is that values give us purpose. For those who do not know and define their values, they end up drifting through life, usually fulfilling someone else's expectations. And the worst thing is, going through your life without your core values by your side make it extremely difficult. But knowing and defining your values gives you not only purpose, but wholeness, happiness, and peacefulness in your life. The second reason is because values give us confidence and accountability. When you define and know your values, when you write them down on a piece of paper and take time to reflect and meditate on them, you are more likely to use your values to make confident decisions in your life. It's so important to write your values down and keep them in a safe place so that you can always refer back to them and that you can always have them right there so you can live by them. The third reason is because values make our lives simpler. Think about it. Whenever you face a difficult decision, You just have to ask yourself, does this align with my values? And if it doesn't, then you don't do it. But if it does, go right for it. So now we're going to talk about our core values in leadership. Not only should you know your values, but you should live by your values. Because if your values are just words, then they're completely worthless. What happens when there's a gap between what people say they value and what people's actions actually are? Does anyone have any ideas? Good. The 3 I came up with was the loss of trust, moral, team morale, and influence. Now let's think of 3 real-world examples. What happens when your friend says she always values timeliness and is always late? Or when someone says, I value spending time with my family, but when they finally have time to be together as a family, they are on their phone just scrolling through Facebook. Or when someone says, I value putting others before myself, and every time they get a chance to help someone, they end up putting themselves first. This is a great thing to think about when you define your values. Do your values and your actions align? Are your values and actions in sync? A wise man once said that your values should align with what you spend your time and what you spend your money on. So now I want you to take out the 3-column scrap piece of paper that we used in the beginning of the lesson. And on the 3rd column, I want you to write down your 5 values. And it's okay if you want to change your values, that's totally fine, because you want them to align with what you spend your time and your money on. And if you want a new list of values, you can go to page 33, and I have some here. Integrity, family, courage, learning, endeavor, balance, and simplicity. Now I'm going to give you guys some time to write down your new values. Now that we've learned how important values are in our lives, we know we should be focusing on our values when making decisions. We should not only know what we value, but we should live by what we value. And every time we try to make a decision, or we want to throw one of our values away, the emotions you felt when you threw your values away in the trash can should reignite every time you want to do it in real life. So do yourself a favor. Take the time to know, define, and write down your values. Put them in a safe spot, whether it be next to your bedside table, whether it be on your bedside table or in your wallet. Keep them so you can refer to them, and it'll be easier to live by them. Know what you value, define what you value, and live what you value. Thank you and have a great day.